The metal halls of the Galactic Military Academy echoed with the sounds of hundreds of cadets rushing to their morning classes. Among them walked Lisa Reed, a 19-year-old human from Earth with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. She was shorter than most cadets but moved with a confidence that made others step aside. "Late again, Reed?" called out her roommate Jax, a blue-skinned alien from the water moon of Terrace. "Not today," Lisa replied with a smile. "Today is too important." The Joint Strategy class was the most prestigious course at the Academy. Only the top cadets from each species were allowed to attend, and today was special. General Crone of the Vexian Empire would be leading the session. The Vexians were known throughout the galaxy as master tacticians, their gray-scaled skin and tall frames marking them as one of the oldest spacefaring races. Lisa took her seat near the back of the lecture hall. Although she had ranked first, in her class humans were still new to the galactic community. Most alien species viewed them as weak, primitive, and unworthy of respect. Lisa had learned to keep her head down and let her work speak for itself. The room fell silent as General Crone entered. His imposing 7-foot frame seemed to fill the doorway, his scales gleaming under the bright lights. 4 silver badges on his chest showed his high rank. His yellow eyes scanned the room with obvious disdain. "So these are the best minds the Academy has to offer," he said, his voice deep and cold. "I see the standards have fallen since my time as a cadet." For the next hour, Crone explained a battle strategy the Vexians had used to defeat the Zorgan fleet 20 years ago. The holographic display in the center of the room showed ships moving in complex patterns. Lisa watched carefully, noticing something that didn't make sense. "The simulation is impressive," Crone concluded. "This strategy has never failed. No enemy has ever found a weakness in it." Lisa's hand rose slowly into the air. She knew she should stay quiet, but the mistake was too obvious to ignore. "What is it, human?" Crone asked, spitting the last word like it tasted bad. Lisa stood, her heart racing. "Sir, with respect, there seems to be a flaw in the formation's left flank. If the enemy deployed smaller, faster ships in this sector," she pointed to the hologram, "they could break through here and target your command vessels." The room went completely silent. No one had ever questioned General Crone's strategies. Crone's yellow eyes narrowed. "You dare to criticize Vexian military tactics? What would a human know of space warfare? Your people were still burning fossil fuels when my ancestors conquered the stars." "I'm only pointing out what I see, sir," Lisa said, trying to keep her voice steady. "The simulation shows a clear vulnerability." Commander Thomas Miller, the human officer in charge of the Academy, shifted uncomfortably at the front of the room. He knew how dangerous this situation could become. Vexians were proud and easily offended. "Perhaps we should move on to the next topic," Miller suggested. But Crone was already moving down the aisle toward Lisa. The other cadets leaned away as he passed, fear evident on their faces. "Run the simulation again," Crone ordered. "Show the attack pattern this human suggests." The technician quickly adjusted. The hologram. Everyone watched as small enemy ships targeted the exact spot Lisa had identified. Within moments, the simulation showed the Vexian formation breaking apart as key command ships were destroyed. Crone's face darkened to a deep gray. Being proven wrong by a human cadet in front of the entire class was more than his pride could bear. He stood directly in front of Lisa now, looking down at her from his great height. "This simulation is flawed," he hissed. "No real battle would unfold this way." "The math doesn't lie, sir," Lisa replied quietly. "I meant no disrespect." What happened next occurred so quickly that many cadets later disagreed about the exact sequence of events. General Crone raised his hand and swung it toward Lisa's face, with enough force to knock a normal human unconscious. But Lisa was not normal, even by human standards. Growing up in Earth's higher gravity had given humans certain advantages they were only beginning to understand. Lisa's reflexes acted before her mind could process the danger. Her right hand shot up, catching Crone's wrist just inches from her face. Her grip tightened instinctively. There was a sharp crack that echoed through the silent room. Crone roared, in pain and surprise, stumbling backward. His wrist hung at an unnatural angle, clearly broken. Green blood dripped onto the polished floor. Lisa stood frozen, horrified by what she had done. The room erupted in chaos. She attacked a general! Did you see how fast she moved? Someone call medical! Commander Miller rushed forward, placing himself between Lisa and the injured Vexian. Everyone stay calm. Cadets, return to your quarters immediately. Security officers burst into the room, some attending to the howling general while others surrounded Lisa. I didn't mean to, she whispered, looking at her hand as if it belonged to someone else. He was going to hit me. I just reacted. Miller grabbed her arm. Not another word, Reed. This is serious. His face was grim. We need to get you out. Of here. As they left the lecture hall, Lisa could feel hundreds of eyes on her back. The news would spread through the academy in minutes and across the galaxy in hours. A human cadet had broken the wrist of a Vexian general. It was unheard of. In the commander's office, Lisa sat stiffly in a chair while Miller paced back and forth. Do you have any idea what you've done? He asked finally. I defended myself, Lisa said. He was going to strike me. This isn't about right or wrong anymore, Miller replied, running a hand through his graying hair. The Vexians control 3 major trading routes between Earth and the core worlds. They have one of the largest fleets in the galaxy, and you just humiliated one of their highest-ranking officers. A light on Miller's desk blinked urgently. My emergency communication channel was lighting up with incoming messages from Earth Command. It's already reaching the highest levels, he muttered. What will happen to me? Lisa asked, her voice small. Before Miller could answer, his assistant burst in without knocking. Sir, you need to see this, he said, activating a screen on the wall. The video showed the incident from multiple angles, captured by the classroom security cameras. Lisa's impossible speed, the precision of her grip, the shocked faces of the witnesses, all in high definition. And below the video, a counter showed how many times it had been shared across the Galactic network. 10 million views, and climbing rapidly. They're calling it the slap that started a war, the assistant said. Miller turned to Lisa, his expression grave. The Vexian ambassador has already demanded your immediate surrender to their custody. Earth has refused. Over one incident? Lisa asked incredulously. This isn't just about today, Miller said quietly. Relations with the Vexians have been tense for years. They've never respected humans, never seen us as equals. Today you showed them something they didn't expect. And there's nothing more dangerous than fear of the unknown. Outside the window, Lisa could see unusual activity as Academy security patrols doubled. In the distance, a military transport was landing, likely sent to collect her. You'll be moved to a secure location tonight, Miller confirmed. The diplomatic teams will try to smooth this over, but he trailed off. But what? Lisa pressed. Miller looked at her with tired eyes. But I think you just became the most famous human in the galaxy, Reed. And not in a good way. As darkness fell outside, Lisa watched the first news reports coming in. The headlines flashed one after another. Human cadet attacks Vexian general. Earth refuses to surrender. Reed to Vexian justice. Vexian fleet movements detected near Earth. Space. Is war inevitable? Lisa's simple act of self-defense had ignited a spark. She couldn't possibly know that it would soon burst into flames that would engulf the entire galaxy. 3 days after the incident, Lisa sat alone in a small room deep inside Earth's defense headquarters. The walls were bare metal, with only a bed, desk, and small window showing the glow of city lights far below. This was her third, safe location since leaving the academy. A screen on the wall played the news constantly. Lisa couldn't escape the images of herself, replayed over and over across every channel in the galaxy. The moment her hand caught Krone's wrist, the sound of breaking bone, the look of shock on the general's face. The door slid open and Commander Miller entered. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. How are you holding up, Reed? He asked, taking a seat opposite her. Like someone who accidentally started a war, Lisa replied. Is it true what they're saying about the Vexian fleet? Miller nodded grimly. 30 battleships have moved to positions along our outer colonies. They're calling it a defensive posture, but we know better. He placed a tablet on the desk between them. It showed messages from the Vexian High Command. They're demanding you be handed over for trial on their homeworld, Miller explained. The charge is assault on a military officer, which carries the death penalty under Vexian law. Lisa's mouth went dry. And Earth's response? Absolute refusal. President Alvarez released a statement this morning defending your actions as self-defense. She's demanded an apology from the Vexians for Krone's behavior. Lisa shook her head in disbelief. All this over a slap and a broken wrist? Miller's expression darkened. This was never about just a slap, Reed. The Vexians have viewed humans as a potential threat since we joined the Galactic Alliance. We develop faster than other species, adapt more quickly. They've been looking for an excuse to put us in our place. On the screen, a new report showed protests erupting across Earth's colonies. Humans holding signs with Lisa's face and slogans like, "Stand strong," and "Humans won't bow." In contrast, images from Vexian worlds showed her picture being burned, while crowds chanted for war. "I've become a symbol," Lisa said quietly. "For better or worse," Miller agreed. "There's something else you should see." He switched the screen to show a medical facility. Inside a transparent chamber lay General Krone, his broken wrist now encased in a complex medical device. Doctors of various species clustered around him examining data. "The Vexians released this footage," Miller explained. "They claim your grip exceeded the bone-crushing strength of a crawl beast. They're saying humans have been hiding their true physical capabilities." "That's ridiculous," Lisa protested. "I'm not even the strongest in my class. It was just reflex and leverage." A soft knock at the door interrupted them. A young officer entered, looking nervous. "Sir, the Galactic Alliance Council is ready for the hearing. They're requesting Cadet Reed's presence via secure channel." Miller stood. "This is it, Reed. The Council will decide whether to intervene in this dispute. Be honest, be respectful, but don't apologize for defending yourself." The screen shifted to show the Council chamber, a vast, circular room where representatives from 50 spacefaring civilizations gathered to maintain galactic peace. At the center stood two podiums, one occupied by Ambassador Lox, the Vexian representative, and the other empty, waiting for Lisa. The Council elder, an ancient being with translucent skin, spoke first. "This emergency session addresses the incident between human cadet Lisa Reed and Vexian General Krone. Both parties will present their account, after which the Council will determine a course of action." Lisa stood before the camera, her image projected onto the empty podium thousands of light years away. Her heart raced, knowing that billions across the galaxy were watching. Ambassador Lox spoke first, his voice sharp and accusing. "General, Krone, a decorated hero of the Vexian Empire, was viciously attacked while performing his duties as a guest instructor. The human deliberately shattered his wrist, causing permanent damage and public humiliation. We demand justice according to our laws." The Council elder turned to Lisa. "Cadet Reed, please give your account." Lisa took a deep breath. "I meant no harm to General Krone. During class, I identified a flaw in a battle strategy he presented. When I pointed this out, he became angry and attempted to strike me. I reacted instinctively to protect myself, catching his wrist. I did not intend to cause injury." Murmurs spread through the Council chamber. Ambassador Lox hissed in disagreement. "The evidence clearly shows premeditated violence," he insisted. "Furthermore, the human displayed strength that far exceeds what their species has claimed to possess. We believe Earth has been deceiving the Alliance about their true capabilities." A new figure approached the Vexian podium, General Krone himself, his arm still in a medical device. The chamber fell silent. "I have served the Empire for 40 years, Krone said, his voice strained. "Never have I witnessed such disrespect and violence from a cadet. This human challenged my authority, embarrassed me before a class of students. then attacked when I attempted to discipline her. Anger flashed through Lisa. That's not true. You tried to hit me. I defended myself. The council elder raised a hand for silence. We have reviewed the visual evidence. The recordings show General Crone moving to strike Cadet Reed, who then caught his wrist. A proper response would have been to dodge, Crone argued. Breaking my wrist was an excessive use of force. Before Lisa could respond, Earth's ambassador stepped forward. My fellow council members, this incident has been greatly exaggerated. A teacher attempted to strike a student. The student defended herself. This is not cause for military mobilization or diplomatic crisis. It is when the student reveals that humans possess dangerous physical abilities. Ambassador Locke countered. What other secrets is Earth hiding? The debate continued for hours. Lisa remained standing, watching as her simple act of self-defense was dissected by politicians and military experts. Some council members supported Earth's position, while others sided with the Vexians. When the session finally ended, the council announced its decision. We find insufficient evidence to support the Vexian demand for Cadet Reed's extradition. However, Earth must agree to a full assessment of human physical capabilities to determine if previous disclosures have been accurate. Ambassador Locke's face twisted with rage. The Vexian Empire rejects this decision. We will pursue our own measures to ensure justice. With that, he stormed from the chamber, followed by all Vexian representatives. Back in her room, Lisa watched as Miller shut off the screen. What happens now? She asked. Now we prepare, Miller said grimly. The Vexians won't let this go. They've already recalled their ambassadors from Earth and closed their borders to our ships. Lisa's tablet chimed with a notification. She looked down to see a message from Jax, her academy roommate. Everyone's choosing sides. The academy is splitting apart. Half the aliens say humans are dangerous. The others think the Vexians are bullies. Be careful, Lisa. Miller received an alert on his communicator. His face paled as he read it. What is it? Lisa asked. Reports from our outer colonies, he said. Vexian warships have begun boarding and searching Earth vessels for hidden weapons technology. 3 merchant ships have been seized. Lisa felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. All because I broke one wrist. No, Miller corrected her. Because the Vexians found what they've been looking for, an excuse. This was inevitable, Reed. If not your incident, they would have found another spark to light this fire. Outside the window, Lisa could see military vehicles moving through the streets of Earth's capital. In orbit above, defense platforms were being activated for the first time in decades. The news feed showed a final headline before Miller turned it off. Vexian Emperor Drax issues ultimatum. Surrender Reed or face consequences. The diplomatic phase was ending. War was coming. And Lisa Reed, the human cadet who had only wanted to study at the academy, now found herself at the very center of a galactic conflict. The underground military facility buzzed with activity. 2 weeks had passed since the Galactic Council hearing, and Earth was now on full war footing. Lisa followed Commander Miller through steel corridors filled with soldiers rushing to their posts. Where are we going? She asked, struggling to keep up with his quick pace. To meet someone who might help us understand what's happening, Miller replied, his voice tight with stress. They entered a large laboratory where scientists in white coats worked at various stations. In the center stood a woman with short gray hair and intense eyes. Dr. Helen Morris, the lead scientist for Earth's Defense Research Division. This is her? Dr. Morris asked, studying Lisa with open curiosity. Miller nodded. Cadet Lisa Reed, meet Dr. Morris. She's been analyzing the data from your incident with General Crone. There's data? Lisa asked, confused. More than you know, Dr. Morris said, leading them to a large screen. The academy records everything: heart rates, muscle, tension, neural activity. We have a complete biometric profile of what happened when you broke the general's wrist. The screen displayed 2 figures, Lisa and Crone. Numbers and graphs surrounded them, tracking every bodily function during the incident. Normal human grip strength averages about 100 pounds of pressure, Dr. Morris explained. Elite athletes might reach 150. Your grip, Cadet Reed, measured at just over 300 pounds, enough to crush the bone of a Vexian whose skeleton is denser than ours. Lisa stared at the data in disbelief. That's impossible. I'm not that strong. Not normally, no, Dr. Morris agreed. But under threat, your body produced massive amounts of adrenaline and activated muscle fibers that humans typically can't access consciously. Miller crossed his arms. So what the Vexians are saying is true? Humans are stronger than we've claimed? Not exactly, Dr. Morris said. We're stronger than we knew. Earth's higher gravity has been shaping our evolution for generations, but living among alien species with lower gravity standards, we never realized our full potential. She switched the screen to show medical scans of different humans. We've tested hundreds of Earth-born humans in the past week. Nearly all show the same capacity for enhanced strength, speed, and reflexes when properly triggered. It's a survival adaptation we developed without realizing it. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Is that why the Vexians wanted me handed over so badly? They discovered what humans can do? Precisely, said a new voice from the doorway. They turned to see Admiral James Bennett, the head of Earth's Defense Forces. His uniform bore the marks of someone who hadn't slept in days. The Vexians have been studying humans since we joined the Alliance, Bennett explained. They've known about our potential for years. General Crone's assignment at the Academy wasn't to teach. It was to test human capabilities by provoking incidents. Was set up? Lisa asked, anger rising in her voice. The slap was meant to measure your reaction time, Bennett confirmed. But Crone didn't expect you to break his wrist. He expected you to cower or dodge, giving them data but not revealing our true strength to the rest of the galaxy, Miller swore under his breath. So this whole conflict was inevitable, Bennett finished. The Vexians have been preparing for war with humanity for years. They see us as a future threat because of our adaptive capabilities. Your incident just moved up their timeline. An alarm blared overhead. Red lights flashed along the corridors. What's happening? Lisa asked, her heart pounding. Bennett touched his earpiece, listening to a report. His face darkened. Vexian forces have crossed into the Proxima Centauri system. They've attacked our colony there. How bad? Miller asked. 2,000 civilian casualties reported already, Bennett replied grimly. This isn't a border skirmish anymore, it's full-scale war. Dr. Morris turned to Lisa. That's why you're here, Cadet. We need to understand exactly what humans are capable of if we're going to survive this conflict. For the next several days, Lisa and other selected cadets underwent intensive testing. Scientists measured their strength, speed, and endurance under various conditions. The results were astonishing. When properly trained, humans could lift 3 times what they thought possible. Their reaction times could match the fastest alien species in the galaxy. Their bones, dense from Earth's gravity, could withstand impacts that would shatter other life forms. We've been living below our potential, Dr. Morris explained as Lisa completed another round of tests. Our bodies developed these abilities naturally, but our minds limited us because we didn't believe such strength was possible. Meanwhile, the war expanded rapidly. News reports showed Vexian warships attacking human colonies while Earth forces scrambled to defend them. Other alien species began to take sides, some joining the Vexians out of fear of human potential, others allying with Earth against Vexian aggression. On the 10th day at the facility, Commander Miller found Lisa in the training room, where she was learning to consciously access her enhanced abilities. The Admiral wants to see you, he said, his expression unreadable. In the command center, Admiral Bennett stood before a large tactical display showing the movement of fleets across the galaxy. Parts of the map glowed red, indicating battle zones. Cadet Reed, Bennett said when he saw her. Or should I say Lieutenant Reed now? Sir? Lisa asked, confused. You've been given a field promotion, he explained. Effective immediately, you'll be joining a special tactical unit comprised of enhanced humans. I haven't even finished my academy training, Lisa protested. None of that matters anymore, Bennett replied. We're fighting for survival now, And you, Lieutenant Reed, have become too valuable to keep hidden away. He pointed to the map, where a large Vexian fleet was gathering near Jupiter. In 2 days, they will attempt to break through our defenses and reach Earth. Your team will be deployed to a key defensive position. Lisa felt the weight of responsibility settle over her. From cadet to soldier in just a few weeks. There's something else you should see, Miller said quietly, activating a different screen. It showed General Crone, but he was changed. His broken wrist had been replaced with a cybernetic arm that glowed with energy. He stood before a crowd of Vexian soldiers holding up the mechanical limb. The humans have revealed their true nature, Crone shouted. They have hidden among us, pretending to be weak while developing their strength in secret. There can be no peace with such deceptive creatures, the crowd roared in agreement, weapons raised. He's turned his injury into propaganda, Miller said. And it's working. Vexian recruitment has tripled since this broadcast. Lisa watched the screen, remembering the moment in the classroom that had changed everything. One instinctive act of self-defense had cascaded into galactic war. It's not your fault, Dr. Morris said, seeing Lisa's expression. This conflict was coming no matter what. The Vexians feared what humans might become. Now they fear what we already are. Admiral Bennett turned off the screen. Lieutenant Reed, meet your team. 5 humans entered the room, each wearing the new combat suits designed to work with their enhanced abilities. They all had the same determined look in their eyes. These soldiers have all shown the same abilities you have, Bennett explained. Together, you'll form Talon Squad, our first enhanced human combat unit. A young man with short blonde hair stepped forward. Lieutenant Alex Parker, sir. We've all seen what happened at the academy. None of us blame you. Lisa looked at her new team, then back at the war map with its spreading red zones of conflict. When do we deploy, she asked. Tomorrow, Bennett replied. We've received intelligence that General Crone himself will be leading the attack on Jupiter Station. He's made this personal, Lieutenant. Lisa nodded, feeling a strange calm settle over her. The frightened cadet was gone. In her place stood a soldier ready to defend her people. Then it's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do, she said. The military transport ship hummed quietly as it approached Jupiter Station. Through the viewport, Lisa could see the massive gas giant, its swirling storms creating patterns of orange and cream. Surrounding the planet, tiny flashes of light marked ongoing battles between Earth and Vexian forces. Beautiful, isn't it? Lieutenant Parker said, joining Lisa at the window. Hard to believe we're fighting a war with that as the backdrop. Lisa nodded. Their squad had spent the past week training together, learning to access and control their enhanced abilities. Now, they were heading straight into the largest battle of the war so far. Mission briefing in 5 minutes, announced Captain Wells, their commanding officer. The 6 members of Talon Squad gathered around the holographic display in the ship's command center. Admiral Bennett's image appeared, his face looking even more tired than when Lisa had last seen him. Jupiter Station has been under attack for 3 days, Bennett explained. So far, our defenses are holding, but intelligence suggests the Vexians are planning something big. The display showed a Vexian research vessel that had been spotted near the outer moons of Jupiter. This ship, the Dominion, appears to be carrying something important. We've intercepted communications suggesting General Crone will board it personally within the next 12 hours. Captain Wells leaned forward. What's on the ship, sir? We don't know for certain, Bennett replied, but we believe it contains research data about humans. Your mission is to infiltrate the Dominion. Secure that data and find out exactly what the Vexians know about us. Lisa studied the ship's schematics. How do we get on board? A stealth shuttle will take you in under cover of the battle, Bennett said. From there, you'll have to move quickly. The Dominion isn't heavily armed, but it will be well protected by the Vexian fleet. The transport ship shuddered as it docked with Jupiter Station. Through the windows, Lisa could see soldiers rushing to defensive positions as alarms blared. Another attack coming, someone shouted. Perfect timing, Captain Wells said grimly. We'll use the battle as cover for our approach. Talon Squad moved. quickly to the launch bay where their stealth shuttle waited. Each member wore the new combat suits designed to enhance their natural abilities while providing protection. "Remember your training," Wells told them as they boarded. "Don't push your abilities too far too fast. Control is more important than raw power." The shuttle detached from the station and slipped away, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible against the darkness of space. All around them, Earth and Vexian ships exchanged fire, explosions lighting up the void. "Stay low," the pilot advised, skimming the shuttle beneath the main battle. They approached the Dominion, which floated at the edge of the conflict, guarded by 2 Vexian cruisers. "There's our window." Wells pointed to a gap between patrol patterns. "We'll have 30 seconds to dock before we're exposed." The shuttle accelerated, darting between debris from damaged ships. With a gentle thud, they connected to an emergency airlock on the Dominion's underside. "Cutting through now," Parker said, activating a plasma torch. Lisa checked her weapon, a new design that fired concentrated energy pulses. Her heart raced, but she felt strangely calm. The weeks of training had changed her, helping her channel the fear into focus. The airlock opened with a hiss, and Talon Squad moved inside the Vexian vessel. The corridors were dimly lit with a reddish glow that Vexians preferred for their sensitive eyes. "Life signs?" Wells whispered. "Minimal crew," replied Specialist Cruz, checking a scanner. "Most are concentrated in the research section. 2 decks, down." They moved silently through the ship, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to avoid detection. When 2 Vexian guards appeared at a junction, Lisa and Parker neutralized them before they could raise an alarm. "This way," Cruz indicated, following the scanner. "Large data storage area ahead." The research section doors were locked, but the squad's tech expert, Lieutenant Mason, made quick work of the security. "I'm in," he whispered. "But there's something strange about this system. It's ancient by our standards." The doors slid open, revealing a large chamber filled with containers. At first, Lisa thought they were looking at weapons or technology. Then she realized what she was seeing. "Those are stasis pods," she gasped, "with humans inside them." Dozens of transparent chambers lined the walls, each containing what appeared to be a sleeping human. Monitors displayed biological data beside each pod. "Some of these people have been missing for decades," Cruz said, checking the identification data. "Colonists, explorers, civilians who disappeared near Vexian space." Captain Wells moved to a central console. "Mason, download everything you can find. We need to know what they've been doing here." As Mason worked, Lisa explored further into the chamber. At the far end, she found something that made her blood run cold. Tissue samples, thousands of them, carefully preserved and labeled. "Captain," she called out, "you need to see this." Wells joined her, his expression hardening as he understood. "They've been studying us, not just recently, for generations." Mason looked up from the console, his face pale. "I've got the files. It's worse than we thought. The Vexians have been abducting humans for over 100 years, studying our evolution, tracking our genetic changes." "Why?" Lisa asked. "Because they knew what we would become," said a familiar voice from behind them. They spun around to see General Crone standing in the doorway, his cybernetic arm glowing with energy. Behind him stood a squad of Vexian soldiers. "You humans adapt so quickly," Crone continued, stepping into the chamber. "While other species take thousands of years to evolve, you change in mere generations. The gravity of your world, the challenges of your environment. They have created something the galaxy has never seen before. A threat to your dominance," Wells said. "A threat to all established order," Crone corrected. "Imagine a species that can adapt to any environment, grow stronger with each challenge, and breed at remarkable rates. In a few centuries, you would overrun the galaxy." Lisa moved forward, her weapon raised. "So you decided to exterminate us before that could happen?" "We decided to study you first," Crone replied. "To understand the threat before eliminating it. This ship contains a century of research proving what humans would become. A plague upon the stars." "The slap," Lisa realized. "You provoked me on purpose." Crone's scaled face twisted into what might have been a smile. "Not precisely. I was testing. Human reflexes, yes, but I did not expect such strength from one so young. You accelerated our timeline, Cadet Reed. It's Lieutenant Reed now, she replied coldly. It won't matter soon, Crone said. The data from this ship is being transmitted to the Vexian fleet. Within hours, our full armada will arrive at Earth. We will end the human threat permanently. Without warning, Captain Wells lunged forward with enhanced speed, knocking 2 Vexian guards aside. The rest of Talon Squad followed, their combat training kicking in automatically. Lisa faced Crone directly, dodging a blast from his cybernetic arm. Your mistake was underestimating us, she said, moving faster than he could track. The chamber erupted into chaos as humans and Vexians fought. Despite being outnumbered, Talon Squad's enhanced abilities gave them an edge in the close quarters. Mason, Wells shouted over the noise. Is the data secure? Got it all, Mason replied, holding up a small device. Including their attack plans. For Earth. Lisa cornered Crone against a bank of equipment. The Vexian general fired his arm weapon repeatedly, but she moved with impossible speed, avoiding each blast. How? Crone demanded, frustration clear in his voice. How are you doing this? You studied us, Lisa replied, but you never understood us. Humans don't just adapt physically, we adapt in every way. Your threat made us stronger. With a quick movement, she disabled Crone's cybernetic arm, the weapon powering down with a whine. Talon Squad, we have what we came for, Wells ordered. Fall back to the shuttle. As they retreated, Mason activated a device that began transmitting the Dominion's research data to Earth forces. The galaxy needs to see this, he explained. Everyone needs to know what the Vexians have been planning. They fought their way back to the airlock, carrying the evidence of the Vexians' century-long deception. Behind them, alarms blared throughout. The ship. Will it make a difference? Lisa asked as they boarded the shuttle. It has to, Wells replied. This isn't just about humans and Vexians anymore. If the rest of the Alliance sees what they've been doing, kidnapping and experimenting on another species, it will change everything. The shuttle detached from the Dominion and accelerated away, weaving through the battle still raging around Jupiter. Lisa looked back at the research vessel, thinking of the humans still in stasis pods, the years of secret experimentation, and the war that had begun with a simple slap. The truth was now in their hands. The question was whether they could use it to stop a war that threatened to engulf the entire galaxy. The Situation Room at Earth Defense Headquarters was filled with military leaders and government officials. All eyes were fixed on the large screen displaying the data Talon Squad had recovered from the Vexian research vessel. This evidence is irrefutable, Admiral Bennett said, addressing the room. The Vexians have been studying humans in secret for over a century, preparing for a war they always intended to start. Lisa stood at attention beside Captain Wells, still wearing her combat suit from the mission. The past 48 hours had been a blur of debriefings and strategy meetings as Earth prepared for the coming Vexian assault. The transmission is ready, sir, a communications officer announced. Bennett nodded. Send it to every member of the Galactic Alliance and broadcast it on all open channels. The entire galaxy needs to see what the Vexians have been doing. On screen, the files from the Dominion began streaming to thousands of worlds. Images of captured humans, detailed genetic research, and most damning of all, the Vexian High Command's plans for the containment and elimination of the human evolutionary threat. Will it be enough? Lisa asked quietly. It has to be, Wells replied. We can't win this war alone. The hours that followed were tense as they waited for reactions from across the galaxy. Reports began coming in of ships belonging to other Alliance species withdrawing from Vexian battle groups. The Vexian propaganda machine worked overtime, claiming the evidence was fabricated, but the images of human captives were too powerful to dismiss. 3 days after the broadcast, a new alert sounded. Multiple ships dropping out of faster than light. Travel near Saturn, reported the sensor officer. Signatures match. They're Vexian battleships, a lot of them. The tactical display lit up with dozens of red markers approaching Earth's defensive line. This is it, Bennett said grimly. They're making their push before more of their allies desert them. Captain Wells turned to his squad. Talon team, you're being deployed to the front line. Your enhanced abilities make you our best defense against their elite forces. Lisa and her teammates boarded a combat transport bound for the massive space station orbiting Saturn. Through the viewport, she could see the gathered Earth fleet. Hundreds of ships formed into defensive patterns, preparing for the coming battle. I never imagined my life would lead here, Lisa said to Parker as they prepared their equipment. From cadet to soldier in just a few weeks. None of us did, he replied. But maybe we were always meant for this. Earth made us stronger for a reason. The station shook as the first Vexian ships came within range, their weapons firing from a distance. Earth vessels moved to intercept, and the void of space lit up with energy blasts and explosions. Admiral Bennett's voice came over the comm system. All units, hold the line. The Vexian flagship has been identified. General Crone is leading their assault personally. Lisa checked her combat suit one last time. The newest version had been improved based on data from their previous mission, allowing for even greater strength and speed. Talon Squad, Captain Wells ordered. Your mission is to board the Vexian flagship and capture General Crone if possible. His defeat could end this battle before we lose too many lives. They launched in a specialized boarding craft, designed to penetrate enemy shields. All around them, the battle raged with incredible ferocity. Lisa had never seen such destruction. Ships torn apart by weapons fire, escape pods jettisoning from damaged vessels, the silent explosions that marked the end of crews who couldn't evacuate in time. Target locked, their pilot announced, preparing to breach the Vexian flagship. The boarding craft accelerated toward the massive vessel at the center of the enemy fleet. Point defense weapons fired at them, but the pilot's enhanced reflexes allowed them to weave through the barrage. With a shuddering impact, they attached to the flagship's hull. Cutting torches burned through the outer plating, creating an entrance. "Go, go, go!" Wells shouted as the breach was completed. Talon Squad rushed into the Vexian ship, immediately engaging the security forces that responded to the intrusion. The humans moved with impossible speed, their enhanced strength allowing them to overcome the larger Vexian soldiers. "Command center is 3 decks up," Cruz reported, checking the ship's layout on his scanner. They fought their way through the corridors using their training and abilities to full advantage. When they reached the command deck, they found it heavily defended by elite Vexian guards. "Form up," Wells ordered. "Remember your training. Control, overpower." They advanced methodically, working as a team to overcome the superior numbers. Lisa felt a strange calm as she moved, her body responding perfectly to each threat. The weeks of intensive training had transformed her from a frightened cadet into a soldier who understood her own capabilities. Finally, they broke through to the main command center. Inside, General Crone stood before a tactical display, his cybernetic arm now upgraded with even more powerful weapons. "I knew you would come, Lieutenant Reed," Crone said without turning. "Our research predicted this level of audacity from humans." "It's over, General," Lisa replied, her weapon trained on him. "Your allies are deserting you. The galaxy knows what you've been planning." Crone turned slowly to face them. "Perhaps this battle is lost, but the war is far from over. The Vexian Empire has stood for 10,000 years. We will not be undone by upstart humans." "You have a choice," Lisa said, taking a step forward. "Surrender now and end this conflict, or continue fighting and lose everything." Crone laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the command center. "You still don't understand, do you? This was never about one battle or one war. This is about the future of the galaxy itself." He raised his cybernetic arm, energy building within the weapon. "If the Vexians cannot rule, then no one will." The arm pointed not at the humans, but at the ship's control systems. Lisa realized with horror what he intended: to destroy the flagship, taking hundreds of nearby vessels with it in the explosion. Without thinking, she moved faster than she ever had before, crossing the distance between them in a heartbeat. Just as Crone fired, she grabbed his cybernetic arm, forcing it upward. The energy blast hit the ceiling, ripping through metal but missing the critical systems. Crone roared in fury, trying to throw her off, but Lisa held firm. The cybernetic arm whined as it struggled against her grip. Impossible, Crone gasped. No human could be this strong. You studied us, Lisa replied. But you never understood. Us humans don't just evolve physically. We adapt mentally, emotionally, socially. Where you see only threat, we see possibility. With a precise movement, she disconnected the power source of the cybernetic arm, rendering it useless. The rest of Talon Squad secured the command center, disarming the remaining Vexian officers. General Crone, Captain Wells said formally, in the name of Earth and the Galactic Alliance, you are under arrest for crimes against sentient beings. Through the viewports, Lisa could see the battle shifting. Several Vexian ships had ceased firing, while others were retreating. On the communications channels, reports came in of more Alliance species joining Earth's defense. This is just the beginning, Crone warned as they led him away. My Emperor will never accept defeat. Maybe not, Lisa agreed, but he won't be fighting alone anymore. The news came 3 hours later, as they returned to Earth with their prisoner. Emperor Drax had been deposed by his own council, who immediately called for peace negotiations. The evidence of their secret human research program had turned, too, many of their allies against them. 1 month later, Lisa stood in the rebuilt hall of the Galactic Alliance Council. The chamber was packed with representatives from more species than she had ever seen gathered in one place. The war is officially over, announced the council elder. The peace treaty has been signed by all parties. Lisa looked across the chamber, to where the new Vexian representatives sat. They were younger, less militant than their predecessors. One of them caught her eye and nodded slightly, a small gesture of respect between former enemies. Commander Miller approached her after the ceremony. The academy is reopening next month, he said. We'd like you to return, not as a cadet, but as an instructor. Teaching what? Lisa asked. Understanding, Miller replied. Between species, between worlds. What started with a slap should end with handshakes. Lisa looked out at the stars, visible through the council chamber's dome. The galaxy seemed bigger now, filled with more possibility than danger. I'll do it, she said. But I have one condition. Name it, Miller said. The first class must include cadets from every species, including Vexians. If we're going to prevent another war, we need to start by understanding each other. Miller smiled. I think that can be arranged, Lieutenant Reed. Or should I say, Professor Reed. The galaxy had changed forever, because one human cadet had defended herself against an alien general. But now perhaps it had changed for the better. The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their assigned seats, their various forms creating a colorful mixture of scales, fur, feathers, and stranger things. The emergency meeting had been called suddenly, and everyone wanted to know why. Ambassador Kale of the Altari Federation stood at the center podium. His blue skin looked pale today, and his usually calm demeanor seemed shaken. The Altari were known throughout the galaxy as peaceful explorers, always eager to make new friends among the stars. But today, Kale looked like someone who had seen a ghost. Fellow beings of the Council, Kyle began, his voice carrying clearly through the translation devices. I come before you today with urgent news. Our exploration fleet has discovered a new species on the outer rim of the galaxy. They call themselves humans, and their world is named Earth. A murmur ran through the assembly. New species were always exciting news. The galaxy was vast, and finding intelligent life was still a rare and wonderful event. Most representatives leaned forward with interest. General Vex of the Draconis Empire stood up from his seat. The massive reptilian warrior was nearly twice the height of most other beings in the room. His red scales gleamed under the chamber lights, and his yellow eyes fixed on Kale with predatory interest. New species mean new territories, Vex said, his voice a deep rumble. New resources, new worlds to bring into the Empire. This is good news indeed. Several other representatives nodded. The Draconis Empire controlled 50 star systems and was always looking to expand. Their military might was unmatched in the known galaxy, and they had never lost a war. But Kale shook his head violently. No, General, you do not understand. These humans, they are different. They are dangerous in ways we have never encountered before. Laughter erupted from the Draconis section. General Vex's officers found the idea amusing. The Altari were known for being cautious, but this seemed extreme even for them. Dangerous? Vex asked, still chuckling. Ambassador, with respect, your people see danger in their own shadows. What could one primitive species possibly do to threaten the mighty Draconis Empire? Kale's hands trembled as he activated the holographic display above the podium. Images of a blue and green world appeared, showing continents and oceans that looked surprisingly similar to many other inhabited worlds. Let me tell you what we found, Kale said quietly. Earth is a beautiful world, rich in resources and perfect for life. When our ships first approached, we expected to find a peaceful civilization, perhaps in its early stages of development. The display changed to show images of human cities. Tall buildings reached toward the sky, vehicles moved along paved roads, and millions of lights twinkled in the darkness. They have achieved basic spaceflight, Kale continued. They have small colonies on their moon and nearby planets. By all appearances, they seemed like any other developing species. So we made contact using standard peaceful protocols. The assembled representatives watched with interest. First contact procedures were well established. The Altari were experts at it, having successfully introduced dozens of species to galactic civilization. What happened next changed everything we thought we knew about warfare, Kale said, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. When we landed on Earth to meet their leaders, they welcomed us. They were curious, friendly, eager to learn about the galaxy beyond their world. We spent months with them, studying their culture and sharing our knowledge. General Vex looked bored. This all sounds perfectly normal, Ambassador. Where's this supposed danger you speak of? Kyle's eyes met the general's, and there was something in that gaze that made even the mighty Draconis warrior pause. The danger, General, is in their history. While we were learning about human culture, we discovered something terrifying. These beings have never known true peace. For their entire recorded history, they have been at war. Many species have violent pasts, interrupted Commander Zira of the hegemony. We all evolved from predators. What makes humans special? Because they never stopped, Kale replied. We found peace through diplomacy. Others found it through conquest or exhaustion. But humans have been fighting each other for over 5,000 years without a single decade of complete global peace. The chamber fell silent. Representatives began to look uncomfortable. Cal continued. They have fought with sticks and stones. They have fought with metal swords and wooden shields. They have fought with gunpowder weapons and mechanical devices. They have even fought with weapons that can split atoms and destroy entire cities in seconds. The holographic display changed to show images from human history. Ancient battles with thousands of warriors clashing with bronze weapons. Medieval knights in armor charging across fields. Modern soldiers with advanced rifles fighting in trenches. And finally, the mushroom clouds of nuclear explosions. They have weaponized everything, Kale said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and horror. Their music, their art, their very words can be turned into weapons. They have created poisons that can kill millions, diseases that can wipe out entire populations, and bombs that can crack the surface of planets. General Vex leaned forward, suddenly more interested. Impressive weapons for primitives, but weapons can be countered. Numbers can overwhelm any defense. You still do not understand, Kale said desperately. It is not their weapons that make them dangerous. It is their minds. They think about war differently than we do. The ambassador activated another set of images. These showed human military academies where young humans studied the art of warfare. We study war so we can avoid it, Kyle explained. Humans study war so they can perfect it. They have schools dedicated entirely to the science of combat. They analyze every battle they have ever fought, learning from each victory and defeat. They write books about strategy that are thousands of years old and still studied today. They create simulations of battles that never happened, just to explore new ways of fighting. They turn warfare into mathematics, calculating exactly how to achieve maximum destruction with minimum resources. The chamber was completely silent now. Even General Vex had stopped laughing. But perhaps most terrifying of all, Kale continued, is that they know when to stop, despite having the power to destroy their own world many times over. They choose restraint. They are not mindless killers or savage beasts. They are intelligent, calculating warriors who understand the true cost of war better than anyone else in the galaxy. Kale looked directly at General Vex. When our cultural exchange was complete, I asked their military leaders what would happen if someone attacked Earth. Do you know what they told me? The general said nothing, waiting. They said they would not just defend themselves. They would hunt down every ship, every base, every world that belonged to their attackers. They would dismantle their enemy's entire civilization, piece by piece, until nothing remained but ashes and regret. Kyle's voice grew urgent. And then, General, they smiled. The warning hung in the air like a physical presence, chilling every being in the Great Hall. 3 days after Ambassador Kale's warning, the Draconis Empire held its war council. The massive chamber deep within their homeworld was carved from black stone, with red crystals providing harsh lighting that cast sharp shadows on the walls. Around a circular table sat the Empire's most powerful military leaders. Emperor Thrax dominated the room from his throne-like chair. The ancient ruler was the largest Draconis anyone had ever seen, his dark red scales bearing the scars of 100 battles. His yellow eyes burned with ambition as he studied the holographic star map floating above the table. So, Thrax rumbled, his voice like grinding stone, the Altari fear these humans. They speak of danger and destruction. He laughed, a sound like breaking rocks. The same Altari who surrender at the first sign of conflict. The same weaklings who beg for peace when we take their worlds. General Vex stood at attention beside the table. My Emperor, I witnessed Kale's presentation myself. The ambassador seemed genuinely frightened. Perhaps we should investigate further before taking action. Investigate? Thrax's eyes narrowed dangerously. Are you suggesting the mighty Draconis Empire should cower before rumors and ghost stories? Of course not, my lord, Vex said quickly. But the Altari are excellent scouts. Their information is usually accurate. Their information about military strength is worthless, Admiral Rax interrupted from across the table. The naval commander was younger than most others present, but his record was perfect. He had conquered 12 star systems for the Empire without losing a single major battle. Look at the facts, Rax continued, activating his own holographic display. This human homeworld, Earth, sits alone on the outer rim. They have barely achieved faster than light travel. Our intelligence shows they have small mining operations on nearby asteroids and a tiny research station on their moon. The display showed images captured by long-range Draconis spy probes. Human spacecraft looked primitive compared to Empire vessels. Their largest ships were clearly designed for cargo transport, not warfare. Their technology is at least 200 years behind ours, Rax explained. They use chemical rockets for most of their space travel. Their weapons appear to be based on projectile systems rather than energy weapons. They do not even have proper shield technology. Emperor Thrax leaned forward with interest. What about their planetary defenses? Minimal, Rax replied confidently. A few orbital platforms around Earth itself, but nothing that could stop a proper invasion fleet. Their military appears to be focused on ground-based forces, not space combat. Commander Drex, leader of the Empire's ground forces, snorted with amusement. Ground forces? How primitive. Do they still fight with swords and spears? Projectile weapons mostly, Rax answered. Chemical explosives. Very basic compared to our plasma cannons and energy shields. Their soldiers wear simple armor that would not stop even our weakest weapons. The War Council continued for hours, analyzing every piece of intelligence about humanity. The more they learned, the more confident they became. Humans seemed to be exactly what they appeared, a young species taking its first steps into the galaxy. What about their population? Asked General Zek, the Empire's strategic planner. Approximately 8 billion on their homeworld, Rax responded. Perhaps another million scattered among their small colonies. A decent population for slave labor after conquest. Thrax smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. And their resources? Abundant, Rax said eagerly. Earth is rich in metals, water, and organic compounds. The system contains several gas giants, perfect for fuel extraction, and the asteroid belt holds enough rare minerals to supply our shipyards for decades. The Emperor stood slowly, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. Tell me, Admiral, how long would it take to conquer this human system? Rax did not hesitate. With a proper fleet, my lord? 2 weeks, perhaps 3 if they hide among their asteroids. But they have nowhere to run, no allies to call for help, no technology that can threaten our ships. And what size fleet would you need? 300 ships should be more than sufficient, my Emperor. Capital ships for orbital bombardment, carriers for fighter support, and troop transports for ground occupation. Standard conquest formation. Thrax walked to the star map, studying the location of Earth's system. It was indeed isolated, far from any major trade routes or allied civilizations, the perfect target for expansion. The Altari spoke of human history, General Vex said carefully. Their wars and weapons. Primitive conflicts between primitive people, Thrax dismissed. Every species fights before it learns civilization. The strong survive, the weak serve. It is the natural order. But my lord, Vex pressed, Kale seemed to believe their experience makes them dangerous. Thrax turned to face his general, and Vex immediately lowered his eyes in submission. Are you questioning my judgment, General? Never, my Emperor. I merely suggest caution. Caution is for the weak, Thrax declared. The Draconis Empire was built through strength and decisive action. We have conquered 50 star systems. We have defeated species with technology far superior to these humans. We have never lost a war. The Emperor returned to his throne. Decision made. Admiral Rax, you will assemble the conquest fleet. General, Vex, prepare ground forces for occupation duties. Commander Drex, ready the slave processing centers. My lord, Rax said with excitement, shall I inform the Galactic Council of our intentions? Standard protocol requires... Protocol? Thrax laughed harshly. Since when does the Empire ask permission to expand? The humans are not council members. They have no treaties or protections. They are free territory, waiting to be claimed. The War Council erupted in approving growls and battle cries. The Draconis had not had a proper conquest in over a year, and the warriors were eager for action. Besides, Thrax continued, the Council is full of weak species like the Altari. They would waste months debating and negotiating. By the time they make a decision, Earth will already be flying our flag. Within hours, orders went out across the Draconis Empire. Shipyards worked overtime to prepare vessels for war. Weapons were loaded, troops were briefed, and supply chains were organized. The machinery of conquest began to turn. Admiral Rax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Empire's Wrath. Through the viewport he could see the assembled fleet, 300 ships of various sizes, from nimble fighters to planet-killing battleships. It was enough firepower to reduce worlds to ash. Admiral, his communications officer reported, the fleet is ready for departure. Excellent, Rax replied. Set course for the Sol system, maximum speed. As the Draconis war fleet engaged there, faster-than-light drives and disappeared into hyperspace, heading toward Earth. None of them noticed the small Altari scout ship that had been monitoring their preparations. Ambassador Kale watched the departure with growing dread. His attempts to warn the Council had failed. His direct appeals to the Emperor had been ignored. Now, the most powerful military force in the galaxy was heading toward a world they did not understand. Kale tried desperately to send a warning message to Earth, but Draconis jamming technology blocked all communications to the Sol system. The humans would face the invasion alone, with no warning of what was coming. As his ship jumped to hyperspace, racing to alert the Galactic Council, Kale could only hope that his fears were wrong. Perhaps the humans were just another primitive species after all. Perhaps the Draconis would achieve another easy victory. But deep in his heart, The ambassador knew better. The galaxy was about to learn why humans smiled when they talked about war. The Draconis war fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a cloud of metal death. 300 ships of various sizes spread across the darkness, their hulls gleaming with weapon ports and armor plating. Admiral Rax stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical displays with satisfaction. "Report," he commanded his bridge crew. "Long-range scanners show minimal activity around the third planet," his sensor officer replied. "Several small orbital stations, a few dozen ships moving between the inner planets. No major defensive installations detected. Just as our intelligence predicted," Rax said with a smile. "These humans are even more primitive than expected. Signal the fleet to assume attack formation." The massive Draconis ships began moving into their standard conquest pattern. Heavy battleships formed the front line, their plasma cannons charging for planetary bombardment. Carrier vessels released swarms of fighter craft that buzzed around the larger ships like angry insects. Troop transports hung back, waiting for the initial bombardment to clear any resistance. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we are receiving a transmission from the human vessels." "How many ships are they sending to meet us?" Rax asked, expecting to hear about desperate evacuation fleets or perhaps a small militia force. 37 ships, sir. They appear to be converted civilian vessels, cargo haulers, mining ships, and what looks like a passenger transport. Rax laughed so hard he nearly fell from his command chair. 37 ships against our 300? He wiped tears from his yellow eyes. These humans are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. The human fleet approached slowly, their ships looking like scrap metal compared to the sleek Draconis war vessels. The largest human ship was barely 1/10 the size of Rax's flagship, and most were much smaller. "Sir, they are requesting communication," the communications officer reported. "Put them through," Rax said, still chuckling. "I want to hear what these primitives have to say before we destroy them." The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of a human vessel. A man in a simple military uniform sat in the captain's chair, his expression calm and alert. His name tag read, "Captain Blake." "This is Admiral Rax of the Draconis Empire," Rax announced proudly. "I am here to claim this system for the Empire. You will surrender immediately and your deaths will be quick." Captain Blake studied the Admiral for a moment, then replied in a steady voice. "This is Captain Blake of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our territory without permission and with obvious hostile intent. You have exactly 10 minutes to leave our system, or we will be forced to defend ourselves." The Draconis bridge crew erupted in laughter. Even Rax's most serious officers found the humans' words amusing. "Defend yourselves?" Rax asked, still smiling. "Captain, I have 300 warships. You have 37 cargo vessels. Do you understand mathematics?" Blake's expression did not change. "Admiral, we tried peace once. It didn't work out very well for the people who broke it. You now have 9 minutes and 30 seconds. You dare threaten the Draconis Empire?" Rax's amusement turned to anger. "I will enjoy watching your primitive world burn." 8 minutes, Blake replied calmly and cut the communication. Rax turned to his weapons officer. "Target their flagship. One shot from our main cannon should be enough to show them the futility of resistance." "Firing main plasma cannon," the weapons officer reported. A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the Draconis flagship, capable of melting through the armor of any known ship. It struck Blake's vessel directly in the center. The human ship's hull glowed white-hot for a moment, then something impossible happened. Instead of exploding or melting, the ship absorbed the energy and continued moving forward as if nothing had occurred. "What?" Rax stared at his tactical display in confusion. "How is their ship still intact?" "Unknown, sir," his weapons officer replied, panic creeping into his voice. "The energy signature shows a direct hit, but there is no damage visible." "Fire again, all forward batteries." Multiple energy beams struck the human fleet, but the results were the same. The ship seemed to shrug off weapons that could destroy cities. "Sir," the sensor officer called out urgently, "the human ships are accelerating. They are moving into attack formation." Rax watched in disbelief as the small human fleet spread out and began approaching his massive armada. Their movement patterns were unlike anything he had ever seen, seemingly random but somehow perfectly coordinated. "All ships, open fire," Rax commanded. "Destroy them." The Draconis fleet unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons, energy torpedoes, and particle beams filled space with deadly light, but the human ships danced between the attacks like they knew exactly where each shot would go. Then the humans fired back. What came from their ships were not energy weapons or advanced missiles. They were simple chunks of metal, accelerated to incredible speeds. But when these primitive projectiles hit Draconis vessels, they punched through shields and armor like they were made of paper. "Impossible!" Rax shouted as he watched 3 of his battleships torn apart by what appeared to be glorified bullets. "How are they penetrating our shields?" "Sir," his science officer replied with terror in his voice, "those projectiles are moving at significant fractions of light speed. At those velocities, mass becomes irrelevant. They are hitting us with the force of small stars." The battle turned into a nightmare for the Draconis. Their superior numbers meant nothing when human ships moved like ghosts, appearing where they were least expected. Their advanced weapons were useless against enemies who seemed to predict every attack. Worse still, the humans fought with a coordination that defied explanation. When one human ship was damaged, others would immediately move to protect it. When Draconis ships grouped together for mutual defense, human vessels would appear from impossible angles to strike at weak points. "Admiral," his tactical officer screamed, "the humans are using their own ships as weapons." Rax looked up to see one of the smaller human vessels accelerating directly toward his flagship. The ship's engines glowed white-hot as it built up speed. "Evasive maneuvers," Rax ordered, but it was too late. The human ship struck the Draconis flagship at tremendous velocity, but instead of a simple collision, something far worse happened. The human vessel exploded at the moment of impact, turning itself into a directed nuclear explosion that tore through the flagship's hull like tissue paper. Emergency alarms blared throughout the bridge as atmosphere rushed out through massive hull breaches. Half of Rax's crew were dead or dying, and his mighty flagship was crippled. "Retreat!" Rax gasped through his emergency breathing mask. "All ships retreat to hyperspace." The surviving Draconis vessels fled in panic, leaving behind the wreckage of 75 ships, a quarter of their entire fleet destroyed in less than 30 minutes. As the Draconis fleet jumped to hyperspace, Captain Blake's voice reached them on an open channel. "You had your chance to leave peacefully. Tell your Emperor that if he wants Earth, he'll have to come and take it himself. We'll be waiting." In the silence of space, the human fleet regrouped around their damaged vessels, already beginning repairs. They had fought the most powerful military force in the galaxy and won decisively. The war had begun, and the Draconis Empire had just learned their first lesson about underestimating humans. Admiral Rax returned to the Draconis homeworld in shame. His once mighty flagship limped into port with massive hull breaches and half its crew dead. The sight of the defeated fleet shocked the entire empire. Never before had Draconis forces suffered such devastating losses. Emperor Thrax received the admiral in the throne room, his yellow eyes burning with rage. The massive ruler's claws scraped against his stone throne as he listened to the battle report. 75 ships destroyed, Thrax repeated slowly, his voice like grinding metal. A quarter of our invasion fleet, defeated by 37 primitive vessels. "My Emperor," Rax said, kneeling before the throne, "these humans fight unlike any enemy we have faced. Their weapons are crude but effective. Their tactics are unpredictable. They seem to know exactly what we will do before we do it." "Excuses!" Thrax roared, standing to his full towering height. "The Draconis Empire does not lose battles to primitives. You will return with the full battle fleet. Every ship we have, crush these humans completely." Within days, the Empire mobilized its entire military force. 800 warships gathered in space above the Draconis homeworld, the largest fleet ever assembled. General Vex commanded the ground forces while Admiral Rax led the space battle. Groups. They would not underestimate the humans again. "This time we take no chances," Thrax declared at the final war council. "Bombard every human world from orbit. Turn their planets to glass, leave nothing alive." The massive armada jumped to hyperspace, heading for Earth with enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. But this time, the humans were ready. Earth's defense force had grown during the month between battles. The 37 ships that fought the first engagement had become over 200 vessels. More importantly, these were no longer converted civilian craft. They were purpose-built warships designed specifically to kill Draconis. Captain Blake stood on the bridge of the new flagship, Humanity's Resolve. The vessel looked nothing like the cargo hauler he had commanded in the first battle. This ship was sleek, deadly, and covered in weapon systems that the Draconis had never seen before. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "long-range sensors detect the Draconis fleet. 800 ships, all military class." 800, Blake mused. "They're serious this time. Signal the fleet to assume defensive positions around Earth and activate the orbital platforms." What the Draconis scouts had missed during their reconnaissance were the massive weapon platforms humanity had built in Earth's shadow. Disguised as asteroids and space debris, these installations contained humanity's most devastating weapons. When the Draconis fleet arrived, they found not 37 ships, but a coordinated defense network that spanned the entire solar system. Human vessels moved in perfect formation while hidden platforms powered up weapons that glowed with dangerous energy. "All ships attack," Admiral Rax commanded, determined not to repeat his previous failure. "Overwhelm them with numbers." The Draconis fleet charged forward like an avalanche of metal and fire, but as they entered the inner solar system, they discovered that the humans had learned from the first battle too. The space around Earth erupted in explosions as hidden mines detonated against Draconis hulls. These were not random explosions. Each blast was precisely timed and positioned to cause maximum damage. The humans had turned the vacuum of space itself into a weapon. "Impossible," Rax shouted as he watched dozens of his ships torn apart by traps he never saw coming. "How did they mine an entire star system in 1 month?" His science officer studied the tactical displays with growing horror. "Admiral, these are not simple mines. Each explosion is coordinated with the others. The humans have calculated the exact blast patterns needed to destroy our formations." The human fleet attacked while the Draconis were still reeling from the minefield. But this time, the humans did not rely on converted cargo ships and desperate tactics. They fought with military precision that made the Draconis look like amateurs. Human vessels moved in groups of 3, each group covering the other's weaknesses. When Draconis ships tried to surround them, the humans would scatter and regroup instantly. When the aliens attempted to retreat, human ships would appear behind them as if they had predicted the movement. "How are they everywhere at once?" "General," Vex demanded from his command ship. "It is as if they know our battle plans before we make them." The truth was even more disturbing. The humans had studied every recorded Draconis battle for the past century. They knew exactly how the Empire fought, what tactics they used, and how they would respond to any situation. The Draconis military doctrine, which had conquered 50 worlds, was completely predictable to human strategists. But the real horror came when Draconis forces tried to land on human colonies. The Empire had planned to use their superior ground forces to capture human worlds, but they found that every human settlement had become a fortress. On Mars, Draconis troops landed to find empty cities that turned into death traps. Every building was booby-trapped, every street was a kill zone, and every human civilian was apparently a trained soldier. The Red Planet became a graveyard for Draconis ground forces. "Sir," Commander Drex reported from the surface, his voice filled with panic, "the humans have disappeared. The entire population has vanished, but they left behind thousands of automated weapons. The cities are killing our troops without any defenders present. On Europa, the Ice Moon's human mining colonies proved even more dangerous. The humans had used their knowledge of the moon's unstable ice sheets to create massive traps. When Draconis forces landed, entire sections of the surface collapsed, swallowing hundreds of troops in freezing water. But most disturbing of all was what happened on the asteroid belt mining stations. The humans did not fight to defend them. Instead, they evacuated completely, leaving behind what appeared to be normal mining equipment. When Draconis forces occupied the stations, they discovered too late that the mining equipment had been converted into weapons. Asteroid processing plants became mass drivers, firing chunks of rock at near-light speed toward Draconis ships. The aliens found themselves under bombardment from their own captured positions. They have turned everything into a weapon, Rack screamed as another of his battleships was destroyed by what had once been a simple ore processor. Their mining equipment, their construction tools, even their waste disposal systems are trying to kill us. The war that the Draconis expected to win in days dragged on for months. Every victory came at a terrible cost, and the humans adapted to every tactic faster than seemed possible. Worse still, captured Draconis technology began appearing in human hands, improved and turned against its original creators. Admiral, his intelligence officer reported during one particularly bad week, the humans have somehow copied our shield technology and made it better. Their new ships are completely immune to our plasma weapons. How is that possible? Rax demanded. We only lost those ships 3 days ago. Unknown, sir. But they are also using our own communication frequencies to coordinate their attacks. They appear to understand our technology better than we do. As the Draconis fleet slowly retreated toward the outer solar system, having lost over half their ships, Admiral Rax finally understood what Ambassador Kale had tried to warn them about. The humans were not just defending their home. They were learning, adapting, and evolving their tactics with every battle. The Draconis Empire, which had never lost a war, was being systematically dismantled by an enemy that treated warfare like a science. 6 months after the war began, the remnants of the Draconis fleet limped back toward their home system. Admiral Rax commanded only 150 ships from the original 800 that had attacked Earth. His once proud armada was broken, defeated, and demoralized. But as they dropped out of hyperspace near the Draconis homeworld, Rax discovered something that made his blood freeze. Human ships were already there, waiting for them. Impossible, Rax whispered, staring at the tactical display. 20 human vessels hung in space between his fleet and the planet, their sleek forms dark against the stars. How did they get here? We destroyed all their hyperspace-capable ships. His science officer's voice trembled with fear. Sir, these are not the same ships we fought at Earth. The design is completely different. It appears they have reverse-engineered our faster-than-light technology and improved it. On the planet's surface, Emperor Thrax stood in his throne room, watching through the great windows as strange fires burned across his capital city. But these were not random fires of destruction. They were precise, controlled burns that targeted only military installations, communication centers, and weapon factories. Report, Thrax demanded as General Vex entered the chamber, his armor scorched and his scales blackened with smoke. My Emperor, Vex said, barely able to stand. The humans arrived 3 days ago, not with a massive invasion fleet, but with small teams that appeared from nowhere. They struck every military base simultaneously, disabled our planetary defense grid, and captured our primary spaceports. How many troops did they land? Thrax asked, his claws digging into his throne. Unknown, my lord, we never saw them coming. Our sensors detected no landing craft, no transport ships. They simply appeared inside our most secure facilities as if they materialized from thin air. The truth was even more impressive than General Vex realized. While the Draconis had been fighting desperately to hold Earth's solar system, human special forces had captured several Draconis ships intact. They had not just copied the alien technology, they had perfected it. Human engineers had improved Draconis cloaking devices, making them completely undetectable. They had enhanced the teleportation technology that Draconis troops used for boarding actions, turning it into a tool for surgical strikes. In 6 months, humanity had taken technology that the Draconis had developed over centuries and made it better. In space above the planet, Admiral Rax faced Captain Blake once again. The human officer appeared on his communication screen, still, calm and professional, despite commanding a force that had somehow reached the heart of the Draconis Empire. Admiral Rax, Blake said politely, I believe we need to discuss terms. Terms? Rax snarled, his defeat making him desperate. I still have 150 ships, you have only 20. Admiral, Blake replied patiently, look at your tactical display more carefully. Rax glanced at his screens and felt his heart stop. The 20 human ships he could see were surrounded by empty space that somehow registered as solid objects on his sensors. Dozens of cloaked vessels hung invisible around his fleet, their weapons already locked onto Draconis targets. "We could destroy your remaining ships right now," Blake continued, "but that would serve no purpose. The war is over, Admiral. The question is what happens next." On the planet below, Emperor Thrax faced his own impossible situation. Human soldiers had occupied every major city on the Draconis homeworld, but they had done so without killing a single civilian. Military targets were destroyed with surgical precision, but hospitals, schools, and residential areas remained untouched. "They could have killed everyone," General Vex reported in amazement. "Their weapons are powerful enough to crack our planet's crust. Instead, they disabled our military and left the population unharmed. I do not understand their strategy." Thrax understood perfectly, and it terrified him more than any threat of destruction. The humans were not conquerors seeking to enslave or destroy their enemies. They were demonstrating something far more dangerous: the power to completely control their opponent's fate. The communication system in the throne room activated, and Emperor Thrax found himself face to face with a human general. The man was older than Captain Blake, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much war. "Emperor Thrax," the human said, "I am General Adams of the Earth Defense Command. We need to talk." "You dare address the Emperor of the Draconis Empire as an equal?" Thrax roared, his pride making him defiant even in defeat. "No," Adams replied calmly. "I address you as the former emperor of a former empire. Your military is destroyed, your fleet is captured, and your worlds are under our control. But we are not here to gloat or to rule over you." Thrax leaned forward, confused despite his anger. "Then why are you here?" "To offer you something your empire never offered its enemies," Adams said. "A chance to surrender with dignity, a chance to rebuild, a chance to learn from your mistakes." The human general activated a holographic display showing star maps of Draconis space. Red marks indicated worlds that had been captured or controlled, but surprisingly most of the Empire's territory remained under alien control. "We have taken your military capability," Adams explained, "but we have no interest in ruling your people. You will withdraw from all conquered worlds and return them to their original inhabitants. You will dismantle your war machine and focus on peaceful development, and you will accept human observers to ensure you keep these agreements." "And if we refuse?" Thrax asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then we will do what you planned to do to Earth," Adams replied simply. "But I do not think that will be necessary. Your people are not evil, Emperor. They are simply following leaders who chose conquest over cooperation." Over the following weeks, the galaxy watched in amazement as the Draconis Empire formally surrendered to humanity. The peace treaty that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of demanding tribute or territory, the humans insisted on education and reform. Human teachers arrived on Draconis worlds to share knowledge of science, medicine, and engineering. Human doctors provided medical care to wounded Draconis soldiers. Human engineers helped rebuild the infrastructure that had been damaged during the war. Ambassador Kale of the Altari Federation met with General Adams on a neutral space station where the Galactic Council was holding emergency sessions. The other species watched the humans with a mixture of awe and terror. "Your people could have destroyed the Draconis completely," Kale observed. "Why show mercy to those who would have shown you none?" Adams looked out at the stars through the station's viewport, his expression thoughtful. "Because we learned something a long time ago, Ambassador. The strongest civilizations are not the ones that can destroy their enemies. They are the ones that can choose not to." "But surely you must want something in return," Kale pressed. "Resources, territory, tribute." "We want peace," Adams replied simply. "Real peace, the kind that comes when former enemies become friends. The Draconis are not our enemies anymore. They are our responsibility." The Galactic Council formally recognized humanity as a major power, not through conquest, but through their demonstration of strength tempered by wisdom. Human ships began patrolling former Draconis space, not as occupiers, but as protectors, ensuring that the cycle of conquest and revenge would finally end. In his final report to the Council, Ambassador Kale wrote, "The humans have taught us that true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when destruction is unnecessary. They have turned their greatest strength, their understanding of war, into their greatest gift, the knowledge of how to build lasting peace." The galaxy had learned why you should never attack humans. Not because they were the strongest, but because they understood conflict better than anyone else, and they had chosen to use that knowledge to protect rather than conquer.